the goal of these two cooperative decks is to help the dark side get out a bunch of different effects. There's all sorts of effects that do damage in certain phases. So, for example, Tatooine occupation is one, where for every Tatooine site you occupy, the opponent loses one force. I think I counted about 26 of those. The goal is eventually to get those all out in one turn and just see how fast the force loss piles up for the light side when that happens. The light side, just for something to do while they're helping the dark side get ready to put all this stuff out, is they're going to try to set up Cloud City, or not Cloud City Celebration, Coruscant Celebration on Coruscant, and try to get 4 retrieval going per turn that way. Also, for something fun on the side, the two Daan brothers, Figrin and Barquin, I think the other one's name is, they're gonna do some wagering as well. So for all this stuff to work, there's quite a few moving parts. Yeah. Let's see what else can happen here. So Light Side's trying to get a bunch of sites. Pretty much every location matters here. The other reason Light Side wants to retrieve is because they're going to use a bunch of tunnel visions to get out the specific cards they need. Since there was a lot of good stuff in the force pile, I'll just keep drawing. Plenty of tunnel visions for next turn. Dark Side's going to get out specific characters to specific locations too. There's some characters, doesn't really matter where they go, but others, I grouped them certain ways just to remember what it was they're supposed to be doing. We're going to need a Star Destroyer for one of the damaging effects. Vader is important for at least one of the damaging effects. Already to 22 activation, so getting pretty close to being able to activate it all. Wanted to check the deck, see what was there. Just a few more sites to put out. Use a bunch of tunnel visions. You need an asteroid sector. Okay, so we got all our sites. There's no more left to worry about once we get these out. I believe the dark side already put out all of its. Well, no, that's not true. Dark side still needs to put out 2 locations. And we got lucky there. After shuffling, Dak was the card I wanted, and he was one of the 2 of the 5 total. So now that I got Dak out, I can retrieve a little bit extra. Even more tunnel visions. Yurka Mig is actually related to the Utini, or the effect that needs an asteroid sector. So we got Dengar, Arquind, and he can do some gambling. Maul's gonna come out because some combat is necessary for this. It didn't have to be Erica, Mara Jade, but I needed a character with a lightsaber for one of the things. That. So light side's retrieving 3 already, not bad. Got to get Luke out. He's going to have to face Vader. Might as well do it in the Hoth docking bay. Qui-Gon's going to do some lightsaber combat. Just a bit more drawing. Mara needs a saber. Darkside's going to make sure it gets the specific cards it needs here. While dumping point mans back into the deck. Because you need to have a deck in order to actually deploy anything. Retrieving 4 a turn now. I'll slow it down a bit here. Okay, medium transports out. We got these guys here just basically doing retrieval. Darkside's still trying to get out a couple locations that are necessary for all this. Erica can retrieve now since Luke is inside the X-Wing. He's not present at the battleground site. So that'll get Darkseid an extra card to work with here. All right, there's the castle. And the planes. Dazon, I needed a scout, so I decided to put him out. Droid Starfighter's going to need to battle eventually. All right, we're just a turn away from setting everything in motion, I believe. Maybe more than that. Actually, more than that, because Dengar still hasn't found his gun. He's going to need to attack Leia before he can actually set up in order to play his effect. All right, Chewie's going to come out and face Dazon, just like in the movies. Gonna hop off now. I'm gonna go over there so we can force drain. Dengar finally got his gun. Gotta get her out to make sure we have more characters with ability on table than the light side, or cards with ability rather. Okay, whenever Dengar hits anybody, he can capture them instead. So he's gonna capture Leia. So now Leia is captured. And it looks like Light's next turn is where we're going to start all this. So Darkseid actually went first since the Death Star was the starting location. Retrieve a little bit, and then we'll get the ball rolling with these 26 or so effects. Oh, I guess not. I think there was one more card I needed and I wasn't able to get it, so I had to wait another turn. Guess I forgot about that. But Darkseid shouldn't have any trouble since it's all basically all point man's there, then the one card I actually need. All right. So if they can draw more than a 1, they're going to make Han missing, and Han goes missing. And since Han goes missing, mournful roar, that's hard to say, go on Chewie. And what that's going to do, 1 force at the end of every player's turn, opponent has to lose. So 1 force loss at the end of every turn. So we got 1 at the end of each turn, not just light side, not just dark side. They're gonna skip ahead to the move phase. That's when lightsaber combat happens, is in the move phase. And since Lightside's trying to do some things on purpose, they're going to select 0 as the value for the combat card. And even though the dark side only has 1 card left, it's a 5, so they win lightsaber combat 5-3. I know it was ill-gotten, it wasn't done normally, but that's definitely the lowest combat total I've ever seen. So now this gets Qui-Gon put out of play, and if Obi-Wan's at the same site, opponent loses 1 force at the end of each of the dark side's turns. So it's another force loss added to the stack. They'd lose 1 for Chewie. Got some asteroid destiny, that's got to happen. The reason I chose this ship is it has an armor of 9, so since there's no asteroids in the light side deck, it's never going to get blasted. All right, so we're going to play some effects. At last, we're getting results. Sudden impact. They got to lose 1 force or cancel the Utini effect if the dark side controls an asteroid sector. Also deployed. This one here isn't actually going to affect much. Well, if Luke can get to a battleground system, it won't actually make him lose force. And Search and Destroy is the same thing with the battleground sites. That's not actually going to make them lose force. They're satisfying it. They're going to lose 1 force because Dengar has his blaster at a battleground site. Lose 1 force because an AT-AT is at a Hoth marker site. Location. You got to deploy a location each turn or lose a force. Ability. Whoops. You got to deploy a character with ability or lose 2 force. So it's important to have this many dark side characters to make sure they have more than the light side. I think I may have had 1 or 2 extra, but just wanted to make sure. And you got Tarkin Doctrine. Since the Death Star is at Parsec 3, actually, I don't know if it says it. It won't say it here. And there's a Star Destroyer at Parsec 5. That's 1 force loss. Frostbite is going to make light side lose 2 force because Han is missing under nighttime conditions. I didn't have to make him missing for this one, but I figured I'd make him missing at the same time for Chewie. I could have used a different character. These occupation ones are pretty basic. You have to occupy 2 sites, and they lose 1 force for each one you occupy. So that's Cloud City, Tatooine, and Rebel Base being Hoth. Destroyed Homestead targets Luke or Obi-Wan, and they got to lose a force. I forget how often that is. During each of the dark side's control phases. Okay. We Are the Bait goes on Leia because she's previously been captured. And that targets Luke during the draw phase. Opponent's got to lose 2 force. Deathmark can target a smuggler, and they got to lose 1 force during each of their control phases. So Chewie's going to be the target of a lot of these things. Relentless Tracking is an interesting one. When does that happen? Move phase? During each of the dark side control phases. So Hemdazon's actually a scout, so that works with him. He is not ready. Light side is going to have to move Chewie, lose Chewie, or lose a force. Much anger in him is a pretty brutal one. Now, obviously, light side, if they wanted to, they could just initiate battle or move away. But they're going to just let it ride. So you got to lose 4 force if you don't battle. So this is losing 2 force at the end of, 1 force at the end of each turn, or each of your turns you have to lose a force, each player's own turn. Lose 2 force to deploy. Then we got a battle in space here. Dark side wins 2-1 with no battle destinies. So light side forfeits the vehicle, and then Pride of the Empire. I believe this is during move phases. Oh, during the light side's move phase, they got to lose force. And then Yoda's going to lose by 1 to Erica. And she's going to play mostly armless on him. So each of opponent's turns, they got to lose a force, plus he's disarmed. He didn't have a weapon, so it doesn't matter all that much. Just a few more left. All right, Vader's going to attack Luke. Each adding 1 destiny to total power because of Nightfall. To get a 5, so all that matters is the original differential. 4. And Luke can forfeit the X-Wing. But I Am Your Father goes on Luke. And now Luke has to lose 2 force during the dark side move phase. So let's see how long light can survive. I Am Your Father's already taking place. Got to lose a force since they don't occupy a system. Got to lose a force because they're mostly armless. And got to lose a force because Han is missing. Chewie's still sad. Qui-Gon's End is another force loss. Okay, so they survived this long. Death Mark is in the control phase. So that's targeting Chewie. Get to retrieve 4. Celebration. And can we win a wager and retrieve 1 more? That's the question. 5 and 5. Seems pretty good since all dark side has is 5s. Of course, light side could be draining here too, but just wanted to see if they did nothing, how long they'd be able to, or did no damage, how long they'd be able to last. All right, so light side wins. They're able to retrieve 1. And it's a medium transport, low destiny, which isn't great if there's another wager. And we got to get Luke into space so he can start retrieving. But you got to lose 2 force for ability. And then also 1 force for location, which is kind of funny that they're, I guess I never noticed that it's the same word 3 times for both. Much angered him is 4 force. We've already gone well over what we retrieved this turn. But Luke's going to get out of there, go to space. Lose 1 for Chewie. I could have lost Chewbacca, but like I said, I'm not going to voluntarily get any of those effects off table. Oh man, 2 more for were the bait. One for sudden impact. So we're probably going to survive. Okay, to the end of the turn, they did make it. And they got to start with Mourn for Roar. For some reason, that's hard for me to say. 2 force for a missing Han. And 1 for Visage. All right, let's see if the light side can win a wager and retrieve a force. If they can, will it be enough? Spoiler alert, it's not. was adding one to that wager. I wonder why that is. Oh, for each of your gamblers at the same site. I guess I didn't notice that before. But 2 tunnel visions ain't gonna get it done. Dark side retrieves. Got a loser force for You'll Be Dead. And for relentless tracking. There's plenty more where that came from too. There's Cloud City occupation. There's all sorts of things. So it was pretty quick there once all those are out, which is to be expected. It's 20 something effects, but kind of a silly arrangement of things. But as far as I know, all the effects that cause somebody to lose force, I was able to get them all out at once. Of course, it helped that the light side and dark side weren't doing much else before that, but man, that damage can really stack up when all those things are out there. So it was at least interesting to see from my perspective and trying to strategize to get all that out. And yeah, so hope that was fun for you to watch, and I hope you tune in for future videos. Thanks.